So after wearing the Nike Adapt Huarache for about a week, here are my thoughts. First, I'm going to talk on the comfort and the fit. I do want to mention that, again, I wore them out all week, but just casually. I took them out for errands. I did some light workouts in them. I went out with some friends to look at some Christmas lights. Pretty much did a bunch of errands. Very casual things, nothing too crazy. Spent several hours each day wearing them, and those are the scenarios in which I'm basing my review off of. Nothing too strenuous. I didn't beat them down to the ground with any rough terrain or dirt or mud or anything like that, so keep that in mind. For me, they were actually really comfortable. I went true to size and it fit me just great. I normally wear a size 10 in most Nikes. I wear a size 10 in the actual Huaraches. I went size 10 in these, and again, they fit me just great. Something I really thought was a plus about this shoe was the ease of putting on the shoe. Anytime I would want to slip this on, I would literally slide my foot into the shoe, and I would not even have to use my hands. It's kind of like putting on a loafer. A little tight, you gotta push your heel in, but otherwise it was a hands-on, hands-free experience. And I was able to slide my foot into the shoe without having to use my finger to pull the tab or to pull the heel up or anything like that. So that was a big plus in terms of comfort. The forefoot does seem to have a very low rise here. So if you do have hammer toes, or if you size too small, the toes can get cramped up in here. Again, the rise and the height of it is very narrow, so you might most likely see your toes barely sticking out of this mesh toe box here a little bit. The forefoot and the narrow foot also do run quite snug. Again, I went true to size and it worked well for me, but when I programmed the lacing system at its maximum tension or maximum tightness, it felt very, very snug, almost too snug to the point of a little bit of suffocation. In terms of my foot size, I'm not too narrow or wide. I feel like I'm pretty much in the middle, but for me, it pretty much worked great. However, if you do have wide feet, I don't think this would be very comfortable. It'll be very, very snug, if not too snug to the point of suffocation, unless you sized up one. But again, these shoes, I could see it being very uncomfortable if you went true to size with a really wide foot. Next, I wanted to touch on the technology and the functionality of the shoe. I thought I mentioned that fresh out the box, when I opened it, I was really excited to get the shoe set up and going, but I did have some struggles, and it actually took me a solid 30 minutes just to configure the Bluetooth app to the shoe. I was having trouble troubleshooting the Bluetooth connection, and I actually had to look up some forums on how to reset the shoe. So fresh out the box, it just wasn't working, and I had to figure that out. So that was a process, and it took a bit of time. Once I got the shoe working, though, it was cool. I'm going to show some B-roll footage of me messing with the app. But basically, once you get the app set up with your shoe, there's two default settings. You have the move setting, which is more snug, like if you're on the move, running errands, or going to be on your feet for a period of time. And then you have the chill setting, which is, pretty much loosened up and not tight at all. So it allows you to set that up right off the bat as soon as you download the app and link the shoe up. So the cool thing about that technology is that once you configure everything, there's pretty much a default setting now. Every time you slide your foot into the shoe, just wait a couple, 2-3 seconds, and then the shoe will automatically conform to the move setting of your phone. Without you having to even touch your hands on your foot or on the shoe. Again, in terms of comfort, I'm able to slide my foot straight into the shoe without bending over or without using my hands to put the shoe on. And then after a few seconds, the shoe will automatically tighten up, not too snug, but in a nice conformed tightness so that you're pretty much ready to go. So you would think that with this technology, this self-lacing system, it would make life a whole lot easier. Make things more efficient, save a little more time, save a little more energy and effort, but I actually wouldn't say that's really the case. The big convenience, as I mentioned earlier, is that once you slide your foot in, it actually conforms right away. But if you want to go through the whole process of really customizing or lacing or unlacing your shoe to a very specific amount of tension, you have to open your phone, open the app, set that up, and that in itself is quite the process. Just tightening the shoe, I would say, takes the same amount of time as me just bending over to tie the shoe myself with my own hands. So again, you're not saving that much more time. The other downside is if you're home and you want to take off the shoe, if you're wearing the shoe at a tight setting, you do have to open your app in order to loosen the shoe up first in order to actually slide the shoe off. If you're wearing it too tight, again, you're gonna need the app to untie or to loosen the shoe first before you slide it off. So that is a little bit of an inconvenience. My battery life is still great. I started at full charge at 100%. After about a week, it's still at about 70-75%. So I haven't even felt or had a chance to need to charge my shoe yet. Here's a quick close-up of the shoe, again, after wearing them for about a week casually. There's actually not too many signs of wear yet, which is the nice thing. The other Huaraches show more indentations or lines or creasing in the midsole, but these actually still look pretty clean. Maybe a little bit on the medial side right here. Not sure the camera's even picking it up, but again, for the most part, I wore them casually. I didn't beat them down on purpose, and they still look nice and clean. This side does have a little bit more indentations, but again, it's not noticeable unless you look pretty close up. So that is good. They're holding up nicely so far, and they're not looking too beat up yet, even though I wore them pretty much all week long. Just a really quick comparison, here's another pair of Huaraches that I pretty much beat to the ground. These Huaraches, of course, have the back pull tab that's made of this rubber silicone material, but it's pretty much a loop there. So you're able to use your finger to pull that heel up. Unlike these, the pull tab is actually on the tongue. This one doesn't come off to pull or anything. I guess you can kind of grab your finger under there to pull the heel up, but I didn't feel a need to use this part at all as a pull tab. All right, so the final question I wanted to address, are these worth $350? For me, it really depends. I normally don't drop that much on a shoe, but because the technology was so intriguing, I thought I'd give it a try. The pros, of course, is that it's technology in a shoe. There's really nothing out there like this yet. This is really one of, Nike, of course, pushing the whole Adapt series. And the mags, of course, these were the first trainers or runners with the technology, and it was a really cool experience. Again, I think you're paying $350 for the technology, but it's really more of like a party trick, the novelty of it. It's definitely a big flex, showing it off to your friends or to people. So again, that's pretty much what you're paying $350 for. They look nice on feet too, as it shows on the screen. But again, the functionality of it, is it really that convenient? Not really. Is it a game changer, or does it make life that much easier or that much more efficient? Not really. Does it look great on feet, and is it comfortable? Yes and yes. But $350 worth of comfort? No. Pretty much the Nike Huarache beaters that I wear, these are pretty much, what, $70, $80. And these actually do the job as well. So, it depends on what you value. Do you value the functionality and the fit? Do you value the flex and the technology and having something that really no one else has? Those are the questions you want to ask yourself before deciding to drop money on something like this. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions, comment below or shoot a message or whatever, and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.